Ladies and gentlemen, this debate is quite simple, so let me clarify for you what we're actually arguing over today, right? So the question here is whether parents should be punished for the crimes of their parents, right? But what we have to understand is there are a number of cases, there's a huge spectrum of what it means for parents to know, for children to commit actions, and parents to know or not know about those crimes of their children. Now, there is the case in which parents absolutely know that the children are committing crimes, and that team proposition says that we should punish the parents for that. Team opposition agrees that's not the topic of the debate today, because the topic is about the crimes, the wrongdoings of children. That is a unique wrongdoing of parents, so it doesn't matter. So here is where the debate exists. The debate exists over the question of when parents don't know, when parents don't understand that these things are happening, whether they should be held responsible for the actions of their children, given that they had no direct cause of the crime, simply because they gave birth to that child. And we will argue today that is absolutely not true. So let us address this on two main levels. The first is the level of values. How do we value criminal justice? What general principles do we address in criminal justice? And we will prove to you that that necessitates a siding with team opposition. And the second question is, what is the effectiveness of the proposition plan versus the opposition plan? And we will prove to you that the proposition plan is more effective. So, the general question of values. We tell you that, in fact, criminal justice is based on a system of rehabilitation and of keeping us safe. Now, what we argue for you today, and we prove to you, is that, in fact, we can rehabilitate them the same way without punishing parents, and therefore we can uphold the notion of criminal justice. Now, the second argument is this argument about autonomy. The general principle that we violate parents' autonomy when we punish them for the children's wrongdoing. Now, the team proposition fundamentally mishandles this argument, saying, no, that why should they have autonomy? This doesn't make sense, but they don't get to the core of the issue. What we are saying is if a parent does not know that their child is committing the action, and a parent has raised the child in the way that they believe is the best possible way, they should not be held accountable because their child is not absolutely perfect. And as long as team proposition does not answer this argument, and cannot answer this argument, then you don't give them any weight on the arguments they make because they violate a fundamental principle of criminal justice. They go against the very notion of criminal justice, and we don't even need to look at the ultimate effects of what's going on. But in fact, the ultimate effects of what's going on are we can gain more beneficial effects by siding with team proposition. The first reason why is because the allocation of funds in each case is much better for team opposition. Because in fact, rehabilitation is a more effective method of helping children and stopping them from committing crimes. Team proposition says that it's also important to help children, rehabilitate adults. The only example they give is this case of Cobb County, but there's no reason why this is the direct cause of that action. It could be perfectly just be because what happened was people decided they wanted to help improve education, and so they adopted a new mindset. There's no reason why we can't solve all of those same problems through pure rehabilitation. And in fact, pure rehabilitation is a better process because it allows us not to just clog up the systems. It is also a better process because it allows us to place full accountable responsibility through rehabilitation on the actual children. That in fact, children end up just deferring responsibility. They sometimes can look to spite their parents. This is an argument not answered by team proposition. That in fact, they look to spite their parents and therefore act inappropriately. Therefore, it is not the responsibility of the parents, and punishing the parents is a ridiculous action, meaning that we actually defer responsibility, don't take full responsibility on the children where it is due, and therefore it is a less effective means of punishing children and enacting change. That's why you oppose.